right 2 lanes to keep right.
Hey everyone, welcome back or welcome aboard. You're watching Prepare to Go There, the most mission critical conversation that we can be a part of today. And that is just my opinion, but I'm convinced that our future deserves our focus. And so that's why we're going to be putting in the work, doing that necessary, unnoticed preparation. And it's okay. We don't need everyone's attention, everyone's approval. We're going to do the right thing just because it's right. And I say thank you for investing this time, being a part of this conversation, or just being a part of this extended coaching journey, which is amazing. We are breaking into live stream number 93, if you can believe it. And so I'm just super grateful to have gone so far, and looking forward to keep going with y'all. My name is Peter, and I want to help you. I want to help you go the distance. I want to help you make a difference. And so that's why I am encouraging you to keep your future on the front burner. It's great to see y'all in the chat, Sarah Joy and Joshua and whoever else is watching. Go ahead and say hi in the chat, and we're going to get this show on the road. So why are we doing this? What is Prepare to Go There all about? Well, it's my observation and growing conviction that most people don't know how to lead others into a better future unless and until they learn how to lead themselves there first. Even if you have a great elevator pitch, even if you have a great TED Talk, even if you have charisma, that doesn't mean you can take people where you are talking. And so we've got to figure out, how do we actually implement the things we are dreaming up, praying about, committing and recruiting others into. And it really does start at the personal level. It starts at the self leadership level. And so that's why I want to help each of us, all of us, figure out, how do you lead yourself? How do you stay focused on the future? Because it's going to be a while. It's going to take time. It's going to take patience and passion to get there. And so we want to talk about the mindsets, the skill sets that help us with self-leadership and beyond. It's not that self-leadership is the only thing to talk about. I just think being a grateful recipient in the leadership conversation for a few years, that this is not being talked about enough. It is being talked about here and there. It's like, a standalone conversation maybe, or maybe it's like a point in someone's talk or training, but it needs to be like unpacked. It needs to be developed. It's a journey that we need to go on together, because if you think about it, this is where we're living every single day. You are waking up with the choice do I want to follow me or not? And you're going somewhere every single day. And so why don't we put in the work today, so when we show up in the future, we show up ready? And so if this conversation resonates with you, go ahead and join the community. Be a part of the Future Friends. I send an email out every week on Fridays, and give you all the content from the week for free, as my way of saying thank you. And I only have one condition. I want you to apply it. I want you to try it. And if it's working for you, then go ahead and multiply it. Share it with others that you would deem so worthy, I guess. But we're talking about delegation today, and really all week. It's been a lot of fun, and we're getting into the real nuts and bolts of delegation, the practical, tactical strategies that can help us honestly just be better team builders, better team players. And I have found a few of the ditches. I'm sure if you're honest, you probably have too, and that's okay. I have learned the examples of what not to do, and I've experienced some amazing teams. I've been gratefully, a part of some amazing teams I can't take credit for, but teams I'm just glad that I got to share and be a part of the room. And I brought, my contribution, they brought their contributions, and we pulled off some amazing things. And so I really want to figure out how would I translate some of those life skills and life lessons to you. You're an emerging leader. You're going to have to figure out vision casting and delegating and team building. Maybe you're at the management level already. Maybe you're an upstart, or you've got a startup in your heart and mind. Maybe you are a part of a team, but you've been at it a long time, so now you're absorbing more and more responsibility. Regardless, this is a mission critical conversation, because delegation is both, the soft skills, people skills, relational, and it is also the strategic parts that help our teams thrive. So we're going to be going into some of these themes again. I want to repeat something that I think just really kind of sets it all up. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And we can thank the military and the SEALs for teaching us that. Wow, if there is an effective, disciplined team environment, it's in the military, and it counts, right? You can't make errors, you can't make mistakes, you can't redo stuff. You got to make it count. So their preparation really matters. And the point here is, if you want to be great at delegation, you're going to have to be patient and decisive. That might seem like a contradiction, an oxymoron, but think about it. You're going to have to be patient with yourself, patient with the process you're documenting, you're developing, then you deploy it. You got to be more patient on the receiving side, those that are taking on that task, or they're joining the team. And then you have to be patient with the results. And so, because we're already making such a upfront cost, so to speak, we can't afford to have any, margin for error. We have to be very decisive. We have to be very clear, concise, and helpful to the people we are leading. And so the idea that we're going to be talking about today is team delegation. All right. This is the next level. It's not just you personally, which is, are you even really ready to delegate? Like, do you have anything to delegate, or are you just escaping stuff you don't want to do? You can't just escape your development. There are things that you're going to have to go through, things you're going to have to learn to get better as a leader, to learn, to level up. Now, after that, you're able to involve people on a project basis. You're involving them with tasks. And, this is when you're first starting, or maybe this is when you have volunteers in your sphere of influence. And learning how to delegate tasks is really important, because if you can't delegate a task, then how are you going to lead a team? Because that's all you're doing all the time. And now we're going to level up and kind of unlock some new leadership strategies, because we're figuring out, how does delegation work on a daily basis? How do we do delegation like as a natural part of the work week? And how can delegation help our teams thrive, grow their working relationships, achieve meaningful work results, and eventually, increase both revenue and reach of the team, depending on what space you're in. But regardless, you want to be on a winning team. Everyone on the team wants to be on a winning team. And if you're leading, you have a big influence on the morale and the way the team is moving forward. So I kind of have maybe a little bit of clickbait here, but what I'm trying to get across is when you are delegating a task, you have to be very specific. You have to document that process. You want to make sure that what you're delegating has been developed before it's being deployed. And task management is the first step, absolutely. But when you level up to this next area, which is you're actually recruiting other people to be on a team, and they're going to own a piece of this responsibility with you. They have a contribution. They're committed. They have a competency that you can acknowledge and benefit from, that you appreciate. At that point, there is a level in the team where you're building trust, you're building rapport, you're growing in a working relationship, and they don't want to be micromanaged. And so when you delegate, I use this phrase, if you're going to give someone the badge, you got to give them the gun as well. Like if you're empowering a police officer and they have this serious responsibility, right? Law and order, you're giving them a badge, recognizing them as a representative of this, team, unit, whatever. You have to equip them and empower them. I know that might be triggering to say, no pun intended, but my only point is to say, if you're giving someone more than one task, all right, there is a big jump from just task management or delegating steps. Do that and come back. Do that and report. Go there and let me see what you did. All right. That's like training wheels. But at some point you got to get the training wheels off, and you actually want to be empowering other people with both autonomy and alignment. And as you empower people, you're not just giving them the responsibility, like, hey, the load's on you, and if it's bad, you're going to take the heat for it, but you're also giving them a measure of authority. You're entrusting them, you're empowering them. You're saying, you got this, and you're going to set them up for success. There's a quote that I heard. I was looking for it online. I didn't find the source. If you know it, put it in the chat or let me know later on. But basically, a leader is, just to use another military metaphor, I guess, the leader picks the hill to take, okay? But they don't pick how to take it. It's the team's job to figure out the how, right? If you're delegating something, you want to be really clear on the what, but you want to be open-handed with the how, because you're not actually going to go through that work. You're not actually doing the steps. It's their job to figure out how they're going to get that accomplished. And that is a form of trust. You're saying, hey, I trust you to figure this out. I trust you to get the job done well. Now, what generally happens is we will kind of overemphasize the details, but we become unclear on the destination. And we don't really have a clear picture of what we're expecting. And we just kind of say, we're basically making it up as we go. And so we have to kind of like edit every decision being made. But it's because we really didn't define the end result. And so then it's kind of this weird doing and undoing approach where you empower and then you undo, and then you empower and then you course correct, and then you empower, And nobody wants to be on that team. Nobody wants to feel that way. Training wheels all day. Training, yes. Onboarding, yes. But if we're building a team, what we're really saying is you are a leader among leaders. You have something to contribute. And if we're building the groundwork, if we're doing the groundwork correctly, we're going to be a team that can take new territory at the same time. I'm going to be on this front, you're going to be on that front. And now a team of generalists are now becoming specialists. They're focused on different areas that all contribute to the goals that are important to that team. So I really want to give you permission and maybe even challenge you. Are you comfortable with delegating a destination? Hey, this is the end result we're going for. This is the budget. This is the timeline. This is the purpose. And then because you have been developing the working relationship and you've been giving good systems and you've been training and equipping with tools, and we're gonna get into some of those nuts and bolts in a second, but you give them the destination. Hey, this is the objective. This is the commander's intent. Now you make it happen. Go figure it out. I trust you to get this job done. If you need help, come talk to me and we'll bring reinforcements. But unless and until you speak up, I'm going to trust that you've got this. And we're willing to empower them by withholding some of the details, by saying, I'm not going to make all these decisions. I'm not going to spell all of this out. I'm actually going to leave room for you to contribute, for you to make decisions, for you to have like real leadership moments, not just like, faux leadership, not just pretend leadership, but real leadership moments. And you're going to be accountable. We're going to talk about the results, but in the moment, even when we're in the room, they are the driver of that project. They are driving, we are supporting. This is a different dynamic because if you feel like your title is, your property, that you are always the alpha, always the leader in any situation, you are always the expert, this is going to be difficult for you. And some teams are built with that ethos where people don't even want to step up or they don't want to contribute because they already know what's going to happen next. And so we can develop leaders in steps and stages, and we can really invest in the team long term by practicing a style of delegation that doesn't have all the details. Let them bring details. Let them bring creativity and style. Even if you have a brand, even if you have, some voice or some messaging that's already been clearly defined, can you share that? Can you prepare them to really feel like they're on the front line and they're driving and they're making choices and they're going for it? I'm thinking of a lot of different examples of this. One example is I got to enjoy going to Disney recently, and we went in the Millennial Falcon ride, and basically you're in the spaceship, right? And you get to, they're like, all right, you're a pilot, you're an engineer, and you're kind of going through it. Well, I mean, I don't really know how much we really had control over the ride. I think the ride was, guiding us, but it gives enough of a simulation to feel like you're actually, driving it. And I really want to challenge us. We don't just want to simulate leadership moments. We want to stimulate people to take responsibility, to take ownership, to lead, to make choices and to deal with the consequences of those choices. And if we're not willing to be clear and define boundaries in time, money, communication, responsibility, then yeah, you will have to be more involved. But if we will do the work of working on the team, working for the team, then we get out of the way and let the team work. Let the team do more of the work. Trust them. And it all comes back to trust in my book. And that's a relational thing. And we have to be intentional about saying, hey, I've actually done this a dozen times. I've seen success, I've seen failures, I've learned things along the way, but I trust you. Go for it. And hopefully, if we are growing our team culture correctly, there's going to be this give and take or this open communication, and hopefully they'll recognize, wow, they've already done this, they've got some expertise in this, let me learn from them. And you actually become less of the manager and you function more as a mentor for that person you delegated to. And now you're delegating the project. They are figuring out the details. We don't give them all the details. That's what I mean by don't delegate the details. Now, I get in one sense, it sounds like, you can't give people that work to make details, but I'm saying let them decide, let them make decisions that they can run with. Okay, let's keep going. Build a team that takes you somewhere you want to go, right? You can't just take the team into everywhere you've already been. That's not why you have a team. You take a team so that way together you can go to new places. You can take new territories together. Don't delegate to people who just have potential. This is really big. You say, well, I see a lot of potential in them, so I'm going to delegate this project. I'm going to let this be a learning lesson. That's task level. That's not team level. It's not where they have an ongoing responsibility. That's not where they're responsible for other people, be it volunteers or staff or employees or whatever. You want to find people who have already proven that they can do the work you're expecting. They've already done it. They've done it in another place. They've done it in another setting, but they have proven that they have the skill sets. Otherwise, you're literally paying for their learning curve. And that could be a long learning curve. So at this level, it's very important that you go slow and you make sure that there's a smooth onboarding. There's very clear expectations. And they realize that they are taking ownership, not just of the tasks, but they are taking ownership of the decision making. Hey, are you comfortable with making decisions in this category? Are you comfortable with, managing other people in this field of expertise? I mean, this is a relational decision. You're looking at people and you're saying, have they proven that they have the mindset and the skill sets to make this work already? And hopefully, Dreamboat, you're identifying leaders that are already in your sphere of influence, they're already in your team ecosystem, they're already in your culture, because that means you have a good culture that's creating these kind of leaders. They're rising to the occasion. You want that. There are some times where it is very good and very helpful to look outside of your organization, to look outside of your community, and to freelance, to outsource, to hire from outside. But you really do need to learn um, about leadership, management, delegation, uh, to make sure that you're getting the right fit, the right cultural fit, not just that you're getting technical support in a certain area. Just because someone is, really good at something doesn't mean that they're going to fit. And so you're not just looking for people who have, a good vibe, or people who have the chemistry, or you want to go very slow. And whenever we're in a jam, what are we trying to do? We're trying to escape the pain. We're trying to just plug it. We're trying to, find a band-aid or stop the bleeding. And so this is where a lot of times we can get in trouble. Maybe you're just starting, um, in the workplace, and you're just so excited about scaling, or maybe you're launching a business, or maybe you're, dreaming about ministry. And I mean, if they breathe, then they're in your book. And I would say you really need to slow down. That's not going to scale. That decision's not going to age well. So you're looking for people who are proven. You're looking for people who have proof that they've already done the work. They've already done that work somewhere else in another setting, and now they're going to be a good fit and bring that in here. Okay. Now that's what we were talking about yesterday, right? You have to be the proof of concept before you delegate out to someone else, before you involve them and put training wheels, on their work. You have to prove that you know what the outcome is, you know what the steps are. There are times where you just don't have the time to go into all those areas. You can't specialize in everything. So now you're going to use that same principle. You're looking for other people who have proven that they know that process, they know that system. And here's a bonus. Not only could they do the work, but man, if you could find someone who could teach others how to do that thing that they've proven they can do, that's a bonus. That would be really cool. So I really want to challenge you, if you want to save time, if you want to multiply time, do not rush through this process. You really do have to go slow, make sure it's smooth. And then once things are smooth, I promise things will speed up, things will accelerate and scale. So if we're bringing on these kind of people, amazing, leaders, they have the skill sets, they have the mindsets, they have passion for the thing that you're about and that you're going for, then you just want to be more empathetic and more appreciative. And you really want to take care of those people, because if you actually find one of those people that have passed that delegation test, they're amazing. And you need to, invest in them, hang on to them, in the sense of like you're just appreciating them, and you're equipping them with tools, with resource, with access, with context. You want to prove to them that you see the value that they're bringing to the team. And so it is a two-way street. You're delegating not just tasks, but you're now delegating pieces of the puzzle. You're delegating territory, for the team. You're saying, hey, you're going to take this big area. And so it's a different relationship. It's because think of it this way. If you're just delegating a task one time, it really doesn't matter how you treat them, right? I mean, I know that we want to be professional. I hope that that your reputation is more important than the result. But this is where a lot of people get in trouble, particularly in the self-leadership space, right? Because we think, oh, they're just here for the task. I'm just telling them what to do. They get it done. I don't care how we interact in between. You may get away with that with task delegation. You can get away with treating people harsh, treating people rough, or just ignoring them, neglecting them, not listening to them, whatever. If you're just talking about a task, it's a one-off job, you can move on. You'll fly by. But if you're talking about, you should never do that. But it really shows up, and it's very painful when it shows up at the team level, because these are people that come back day after day. They come back week after week. And now you have a culture problem. Now you have really bad culture because you don't know how to delegate tasks effectively. And so you're trying to use some of those same tactics on a team level, and there's a different relational component to it now because you're spending more time working on the projects together. So you just won't get away with it. And that's why I'm appealing to you, begging you, please start with self-leadership. Lead yourself well. Do you even have skills to bring to the table? Have you learned, how to hit a due date, how to stay on budget, how to communicate, how to do change management? Have you learned some of those things yourself? Now you're able to involve other people. Are you going to wow them with your preparation, not just your presentation? And now you've gotten some capital, whether that's social capital or, some more funds. You can start involving people in the work in a more dedicated way. They're excited, but how are you going to take care of them long term? So delegation is a long game. Delegation is not just quick wins. Delegation is for long haul leaders, because you really do want to practice taking care of people. You really want to practice giving the empowerment, giving the authority when they take on a new responsibility. And so as you survey all the needs, all the demands that are happening, in your leadership, you have options, right? You have different strategies you can use. Okay. Are we going to delegate this to someone we already know about? Are we going to bring someone new on? Are we going to freelance, outsource? Are we going to try, doing this with volunteers? Are we going to try to get this done with part-time? Are we going to try to, double up, and take someone who's been doing well in one area and now add more work to them, and you're thinking through these things, and not all options are equal. Honestly, not all options are equal. So you've got to weigh those out and count the cost. And so leadership is chess, right? There's a book by one of the leaders in the Chick-fil-A organization, Chess Not Checkers. And it's so true. Team building and leadership and delegation, it's chess, not checkers. All right. It's not just cause and effect. There's an element of strategy involved, and a big element of emotional intelligence involved. And so if you're not going to learn how to do great work yourself, then you won't know how to give people a premium experience when you delegate a task to them. And if you don't know how to set people up for success on the task level, then you're not going to know how to trust anyone and delegate on the team level. So this all compounds, it all adds up. My encouragement for all of us is to level up in our leadership from tasks to teams. Don't just think about the task you need to get done. Think about the team that is going to develop and be deployed to keep running, right? A task is something that you have to come back to again and again. You got to check on it. You got to you got to work on it, make sure that it's happening. But a team, you're working on the team, you're working for the team now. You're taking care of your team and you're trusting that your team is taking care of those tasks. It's a different relationship. And this is all calling us higher. As we're willing to work on ourselves, we're actually enlarging our own carrying capacity. And in that, the team's carrying capacity for the future. Think about it this way. The way that you delegate today is either going to grow or shrink your team's capacity for the future. The way you delegate today, is it organized or sloppy? Is it rushed or is it thought through? Is it impersonal or is it relational? Is it passionate or is it routine, ruts? Okay, the way you delegate today is going to either set up the team to grow in the future, or it's going to impair and it's going to inhibit your team's ability to grow in the future. Man, I want you to win. I want you to be on a team that wins. I want you to figure out the mindsets and the skill sets that will help you be a serial team builder. I want to help you embrace great delegation so that way you can empower creative, competent people, and you will be freed up to go take on new frontiers as well. But it doesn't happen if all you're doing is thinking like task management. If you're just thinking like, okay, I'm going from task to task and my objective is that this task got done. No, the objective is that there was a team that got developed and a team is being deployed. And there's new responsibility for you, but there's also bigger rewards that come with it. So we're not just thinking about what has to get done. We're thinking of who is being developed, who is rising to the occasion, who is going to help the team take new territory. The last thing I'll mention is this level of delegation requires long haul leadership. And I've mentioned again, the two things you're going to need to really double down on in order to level up your leadership for delegation is you got to be patient and you have to be decisive. Another way I could say that is you're going to have to be consistent. Your team is going to need your consistency in your availability, consistency in your communication, consistency in your own deliverables to them. Are you consistent with your team? Are you consistently saying the same things? Are you consistently providing the direction, the destinations? Are you consistently, meeting and coaching and mentoring? Are you consistently encouraging? That really matters because, again, we're not just delegating a task, which is just going to come and go. We're actually delegating to a team, to a person who's going to be running with a specific function in the team now. And that has to keep going. So again, you can't just kind of show up, blow up. You've got to be there and let them see that, hey, you're leading yourself, you're organized, you're helping them stay mobilized, and things have been well defined. You've been developing, tasks into systems. They're running with that. Now you're developing people into teams so that way they can continue to run as well. And consistency is really important. Another thing is, I said you have to be decisive. But what that means is now you have clear expectations that you can grade. How are we doing? Hit or miss, right? Win or fail. And when you're decisive, it's much clearer to see how the delegation experience is going. You can see it. You've been clear. You've had things in writing. You've done the training. You've had the touch points. You've gone through the coaching. You've taken all those steps to take all of the emotion, to take all of the sideways energy out of the room, out of the project. And now you can say, hey, I would love to just go hang out, with friends, later on. But right now, this has to get done. This work matters. And it's just so easy. It's not awkward anymore. It doesn't have to be. And you've been consistent yourself and you've been clear. And so it's just air, to breathe. It's helping people. Let's say it this way. It will become clear based on their choices, whether they fit or don't fit. And there's really no pressure in it. You just keep believing in people, you keep empowering people, you keep communicating, and it will prove out. And I never want, to burn a bridge over tasks. I I don't want to live that way. I would rather just try my best to serve people with the access they need, the authority they need to do their job, the alignment we need as a team to keep working together and to really hit those strides. Right? Those are the things that matter. Seeing that people feel comfortable enough to take action and they don't feel like they're going to be punished for having initiative. I would much rather have a steady conversation with people because I realize I'm not just delegating a one-time task anymore. I'm growing an ongoing team here. And so I have to be consistent for the long haul, and I have to be really clear to make sure that we're still moving towards the destination. So never delegate without a debrief. Never delegate without a debrief. You're going to, at this level, you got to be more accessible and be ready. I'm not talking about you're not answer man, right? You're not answer woman. You are diving into their development. You're diving into what's going on in their world. And you're diagnosing things with them and you're helping them work on the systems that they are taking ownership of. And it comes down to this. If you cannot just sit down and discuss the work, then you're already out of the delegation game. Like if we can't even have a conversation about what's working, what's not working, without things getting kind of bent out of shape, we've already disqualified ourselves from this game, right? Being a team, delegating, crushing it, driving harder. I talk about that relational maintenance. I've talked about that before. Like if you're driving on the road in your car and you didn't check the oil and check the tires and do the maintenance, then you are vulnerable to some sort of blowout. And it will always happen when it's inconvenient. It's always happening when you're cruising, right? And you don't want to pull over because you got somewhere to go. And your team is moving. Your team is going places. You're driving that team. You want to get to a destination. You want to see results. And if we're not doing the relational maintenance to have that open dialogue to really assess where people are and assess if they have the skill sets necessary for the next level, it's just important. So I would always lead with relationships. And if you're leading with relationships and you're empowering people and you want a great work environment that wins for everybody, and you're clear on the destination and you give them space to work out the details, generally, I think you got a good foundation. You can learn new things, you can level up in other ways, but that's a solid foundation in my book. Delegation is simply a discussion with the right person at the time that you need to get the right things done. All right. Delegation is simply finding the right person to do the right thing at the right time. That's all it has to be. So I want to pause here. We've got about 10 minutes left. I'd love to hear from y'all. Let me know what you're thinking. Comment or like pushback even. If you want to get into tools or tactics, we can do that as well. But let me know how this is coming across on the receiving side. I'm looking for comments in the chat. I'd love to help or just kind of speak to whatever you're feeling. The main thing that I wanted to get across is if you're helping your team level up, you really want to delegate more and you want to delegate better, you have to actually give them space to come up with the details. And the cornerstone practice in this conversation is having scheduled conversations, intentional, rhythmic, like you can bank on it. You're going to have it. Maybe it's a weekly thing, a monthly, and you can kind of stair step it up, but, like a daily touch point, weekly, monthly. And sometimes, you empower people or you help people get going. Yeah, absolutely. We'll mention that in a second essay. But you empower people and then they start going and then you realize, oh man, they're taking this in a different direction than what I was thinking. And then at that point, it's the awkward conversation. Okay, can we talk about this? Or is this going to be too tough for you or for them? And as long as you're doing the legwork, to prepare. And I want to insert this plug for a second. This is a book that I read this year. It's a recent book by John Maxwell, obviously a legend in the leadership space. Leadership, man, so good. But he said in the book, whenever he's bringing new people in, like their first training, first onboarding with them, he'll say, hey, we're going to have a lot of good days together. We're going to do a lot of great stuff together, but there will be some tough days where we're going to have tough talks. And if you're okay with that, then we'd love to have you on the team. I mean, even just setting that expectation that you have to be okay with taking feedback on this team. You have to be okay with letting people develop you. And I think that's kind of like the higher stakes. At task management, it's all about how the project comes out? Are you okay with, editing or changing up the characteristics of the project? But when you're delegating people into your team, or you're even giving them a piece of the team, they have to be okay with you working on them, let them continue to figure out how to get good results. But now you're working with them, working on them, saying, hey, we are all growing. We are all learning. We're all figuring this stuff out. We are serious about our own development. We're serious about serving others well. And if you're not okay with that, if you're not okay with people trying to care and coach in motion, then we're going to set the expectation up front. This matters to us. And again, I think it does come back to the relationships. And obviously, results are so important, but you're not even out the gate if you don't have great, humble, competent people that share your mission and values. All right, let me speak to this thing SA was sharing. Great insight, man. He says people have different personalities and drives, so that makes delegation interesting in the workspace. And I think he's being polite with this. It's difficult. It's just straight difficult, but that is the level of leadership that you are embracing now, right? It's like at first you're just figuring out how to get tasks done, and other people aren't really involved in that. Now you're trying to get work done, and you got different personalities involved. So this is like, you're at the next level of Jumanji. You got to make this through. You got to get through this. So at that point, we start adding on some of these advanced strategies. And yes, we can get into them. We can talk about them. I save that kind of coaching for the masterminds, because it's a better format, for me to deliver that content. But the short answer is, do not be intimidated by all of these different personalities, and figure out how to architect shared mission, shared vision, figure out how to get them the tools they need. And if you are convinced that this person has proven themselves and that they can be a team player, then get behind them and trust them. And don't be intimidated by it. And if things start getting awkward, try to be as honest and open about it. But like, if you're just coming at this like some bureaucratic suit and you're just going to bring in all these formalities, people aren't going to take that seriously. They're not going to respond to that well. But if you can say, hey, can I just level with you? How are you doing? Like, for real, help me understand you. This is what I'm noticing. I would personally, I had so much fun learning about each person on my team, learning about their personalities. I was looking for their strengths. As a believer, man, I was praying. I was praying in the Spirit. I was saying, Lord, would you teach me, what is their contribution? I wanted to be a supervisor. I wanted supervision. Supervision is not that I'm hanging over your shoulder and I'm making sure that all of the details are done to my specifications. Supervision means I get to see what's possible, see what's important, and pull it out. I see stuff that my team don't see yet. I see things on the calendar that other people don't see. I see things in context of the work we do that others don't even think about yet. And that's okay, because if you're a supervisor, it means you are bringing the gift of supervision. And that's not, micromanaging and pulling down into all of the things that offend you or weird you out. You need a safe space to work through that stuff, because it's going to happen. It's natural. It's like, as much as you're inhaling, you're exhaling. So as much as you're, leading, you're also going to be learning. But just if you're dealing with different personalities and it's interesting, it's difficult to try to work on this jigsaw puzzle. I would say you really do have to see the goal of the whole team. And then each person is going to make a contribution that serves that outcome. And don't let personalities get in the way of the mission. The mission has to be driving, the mission has to be leading. And you can do that in a respectful way, in a relational way. And that's why you do want to go slower, because it is very difficult to kind of backfill after you've made a choice like that. I hope that helps. If not, clarify it, push back. That's fine. Anybody else? Kind of last call on comments, and then we'll get to some calls to action. Thank you, SA, again. Y'all, I'm super excited. I haven't announced it yet, but the future friend for this Friday is literally a boss, and I'm really looking forward to it. And by the way, she is a girl boss too. Okay, y'all, this has been great. Let me finish up with some calls to action. If you appreciated this conversation, would you share it with others? And I hope you hear the heart behind this. Self-leadership is all about how would you want to be treated. If someone was delegating to you, if someone told you, hey, you got this badge. Oh yeah, but you're not going to have the gun to go with this, but we're going to put you out there in the real, in the real thick of it. How would you feel? Would you feel supported, empowered, understood? This is very difficult, right? We're not talking just about the work itself. We're talking about people. We're talking about how they feel and their dreams and how they're bringing their best energy to contribute to something that they think is worthwhile. So just be thinking about the personal aspects of this, the relational aspects of this, and it's going to put you in a different mindset. You're going to, I would say, try to wow your team with your preparation, not just your presentations. Remember, I want you to join the Future Friends. And then if you haven't done so, download the free fail-proof planning guide. Man, this is really going to help you lead yourself with a weekly planning session. It's going to start you kind of zoomed out, looking at roles and goals, fleshing it out in rhythms and routines that will help you stay awesome. And then it's going to just walk you through a proven step-by-step planning process. It's helped me. It's helping a lot of other in the community. And I would love for you to get into it immediately. That is it for today. Tomorrow is another level. We're going to level up one more time. And talking about delegation, when you actually delegate the right to delegate. And man, that is like a whole nother level. And that gets messy, but it's very powerful if you set it up correctly. So I want to inspire you to dream. I want to inspire you to put in the work, because you're going places. If you haven't heard it from other people, I want you to hear from me. I believe in you. I'm rooting for you. I'm here to help you. Keep going for it. And we'll see you tomorrow. Remember, prepare to go there.